You ain't that. So, Sonic 2, Electric Boogaloo. What did you think about that film? Let's get your thoughts on it first.
I loved Electric Boogaloo. If you've seen the first Sonic, you know that it's really just a fun movie and fun for the whole family, fun for everyone. And I really feel like this sequel, I think it did, the character justice and
Blue Justice.
And it's honestly, I had such a fun time at the movies, and I wrote some things here about it.
Okay.
It's a very good movie, just as good or even better than the first. It's really funny, lighthearted movie with jokes that will make you laugh throughout, and also some good emotional moments as well. And the action is very good as well, particularly in the final act. And you have some new characters like Tails and Knuckles, and I feel like they do the characters great. And I would really recommend this movie for anyone. Really, I'm gonna invite my sister. I invite your whole family. It's just a fun movie. And the standout, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey he's back, and he's so funny as Dr. Robotnik. And most of his jokes land. I love his goofy presence. I love seeing him as this wacky villain, and I could not keep my eyes off of it. It was awesome. I loved it. So, what were your thoughts?
I thought this movie was No, I'm joking. This movie was awesome. Movie was awesome. I thought that I couldn't get enough of. On the way back home, we said this was a situation where there's like Jim Carrey Unleashed, where they let him be himself. It felt like the vintage Jim Carrey from. I wouldn't have if you would have showed me this movie back in the '90s, right after The Mask, right after Ace Ventura, and whatnot. It felt like it was in line with that. With that,
right in like
Carrey.
The late '90s,
before he went to his whole dramatic run, which I like, but it was in the late '90s feel for it, and it made me a little sad to hear that he might be retiring, because I feel like he's just getting wound up. But as far as the movie, when I'm watching this, I'm thinking, oh, my kids. I try to put myself in how I felt as a kid, and then my kids. I said they're gonna love this more than the first one, and they love the first one. They're gonna and I also compared it to there's a cartoon called Sonic Boom. There was a lot of things that happened in this in this movie, that reminded me of that cartoon. And I won't go into details on it because it's the non-spoiler of it. But for example, the way we said that Jim Carrey was more animated in this one than he was even in the first one, if that's even possible, but it happened. And
there's a point in the movie that Jim Carrey just completely changes himself, and he was just hilarious.
Yeah, throughout the whole thing.
It's like you think he's wacky now. Oh no. Once this thing happens in the movie, bam, he's like a whole nother level of funny. And I loved it. It was so hilarious. And
I brought up the cartoon Sonic Boom. If you watch that cartoon, or if you're a fan of that series, I got the feeling that they might be going in that direction. And it's only how do I make this make sense? The way each character is portraying themselves, how Sonic acts, how Knuckles individually acts, how over the top, even with Jim Carrey being cast, makes a lot of sense. If you know that cartoon series. So if you like wacky comedy with great action, with great stories, with that wholesome together with family
it has
dynamic,
a good message too.
Had a good message and everything too. Watch that cartoon series and watch Sonic 2. Watch all of it.
Watch Sonic 1, then Sonic 2, and you go and watch the Sonic Boom series.
Yeah, it's all being done perfectly. I feel like this is the cartoon franchise that the video game franchise that's really being done right. It's loyal. It's being loyal to the source material, and it's being handled almost perfectly, flawlessly. There were a few things that the only thing that I didn't like about it was whenever they kind of got off topic, and focused on things that they didn't need to focus on. and it kind of dragged like 5 or 10 minutes, a little too long. But
yeah,
we'll talk about that in the.
It kind of felt like it was derailing from the Sonic storyline too much. I'm like, am I still in the Sonic movie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Here, I'm back in the Sonic.
Yeah,
movie.
exactly.
Yeah.
Once the thing that derailed, once they derailed from the actual story, from the actual character Sonic and the main characters, and to focus on side characters a little too long, you kind of feel it once it crosses, like it should, like if it was a 10-minute scene, it should have been a 5-minute scene, and once it crossed that 5-minute mark, you started to feel it. Yeah. This is lasting. I'm focusing on these people too long. I don't like it. You know, and get back to it.
Yeah, I feel like they gave them action scenes too when they really didn't need
to. Yeah,
it just, like why give the, like, I know we have human characters. We got to focus on the human characters, but
and they did that in part one a little bit, but not that long.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I feel like they focus on the human characters that weren't the main human characters. And I'm like, who are these people? Yeah. And why should I care about them? Right. Oh, it's because they're being funny. Yeah. Yeah.
Where in part one, where like the sister character, where she had funny parts and everything, and but it was timed perfectly. You come in, throw your funny lines in, get out. They did the same thing. They followed a lot of the same formulas that worked in part one, but they drug it out just a little too long. And which is just a minor little 5-minute.
It's minor.
Yeah, like a 5-minute inconvenience, and that's about it.
But there's also some jokes that don't land, which it's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. But sometimes there are some jokes that characters kind of like force out a joke. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's not really that funny, but I get it.
For every joke that didn't land, there's it was so few like that happened. There was so many that did.
There's so many,
and you'll just notice 1 or 2 that didn't, and it's fine. You're like, oh, okay, man, wah wah. But you get over it once everything else starts back up again.
I like that the movie had a really big sense of adventure too. You're going to so many different, like, really cool locations in the movie that the first one did touch on, but this one they go, I don't want to spoil it, but they go some really cool places, especially the final act. Yes, it's so cool.
It makes sense if I was asking like right after the movie, I asked Gio, like, did you play all the video games, like the classic video games and the newer ones? And you said you played a few of them, but not the newer ones.
I love the original arcade. That's the one I played the most. That's when probably most people played the most, was the original arcade. And I mean, there's a scene at the end where Sonic kind of does some of those things. Yeah. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's really
fun. They tied in a lot of the canon from the original Sega games. Yeah. Part 1, Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and Sonic and Knuckles. And then little by little I started to notice they were tying in some of the newer game stuff too. And I'm like, I think I know where this is going. So they're trying to give it all to you. If you're a hardcore fan of the old school Sonic games, you're getting everything that you saw in those games. Not everything, but you're getting a lot. Like from the maps. I could see the game kind of coming to life. Those old school games. Then I could see the new stuff, like I was talking about the Sonic Boom series, the newer games. I'm starting to see. It feels like it's taking us down this journey of bringing to life the classic games and the newer stuff. It's moving down the timeline, and it's doing it in this great story, and it's just being very enjoyable. So if you're a fan of the original games and the newer games, there's something in here for all of you guys. So definitely, it's great.
And the number one thing is it's just a lot of fun. Yeah, it's just a really fun, enjoyable movie for the whole family. Bring your whole family to see it. You're all gonna love it. Yeah, really.
Number one movie this week, definitely. Yes, I think this is definitely gonna be it.
I have not laughed this hard. Well, okay, I have. The last time I laughed this hard was when I saw Jackass Forever, but that's a completely different movie. Right.
Yeah.
But I love this movie, so I'd say go see it. Yeah, go see it. I highly recommend it.